All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the City of Prescott regular City Council meeting to order. It is Monday, June 10th at 6 o'clock. Do a roll call. Lindsay?
Here.
Dark?
Here.
Adam?
Here.
Maureen?
Here.
Mike?
Here.
And here from John? We'll say John's excuse. Okay. Would everybody please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Next item on the agenda is public comments. The city will receive public comments on any issue related to agenda items. Limited discussion by the council may take place. Okay, hearing none. Next item is the consent agenda. Library Board minutes from April 18th. City Council minutes from May 13th. Parks and Public Works Committee minutes from March 20th. Health and Safety Committee minutes from March 29th. General Fund balances from May. Cash balances from May. Paid invoices from May. And a special event permit approval August 11th for Bridge the Valley Bicycle Rally at Freedom Park.
I'll make a motion to approve items 1 through 8 on the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Anybody like to pull anything from that or any comments on the motion?
I do have one comment. It does say that I was absent on the meeting minutes for the library board, and I was not. That's all.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is reports of standing committee and commission. Nothing for finance, planning commission. Next meeting Monday, July 4th at 6 o'clock.
It should be July 1.
Pardon me?
It's on July 1st, not 4th.
July 1st. Planning commission. Monday, July 1st. Why did I say 4th?
Yeah, you did. That's why I was
Well,
make sure nobody,
I stand corrected.
well, that somebody tried to come the wrong
Nobody
day.
will show up.
Okay. Parks and Public Works. You have a second, I'll give you a second, John. You have a recap of your,
I can do health and safety while John sets up.
okay, go ahead.
Okay, we met health and safety on Wednesday, May 29th. We had a discussion about looking at putting maybe a stop sign on Orange Street. There was some traffic testing done. Because the school system will not be busing in town in the fall, we have asked that, well, first of all, the traffic report that was completed shows there wasn't need for a stop sign. However, because busing is not going to be conducted in town starting in the fall, we've asked that they reintroduce that traffic testing to see where we're at this fall and whether or not there would be need for a stop sign. This is per complaints by residents in the area. Also, we'd like to have a review of the signage in the area because of the school as well. We also discussed public safety issues downtown in regards to motorcycles and party buses, and we have asked the police chief to keep an eye on it and let us know if there's any significant recurrences of any issues going on downtown. Police department's also requested an emergency management equipment, 2 items. One item is a message board. I guess I wasn't aware we didn't have one. A digital message board, as well as a portable diesel LED light. And the council, the board recommended to bring it to council. Also, the police department has requested looking at a flock camera system, which is a way of tracking license plates that come in and out of the city. They don't have the capability of doing that, and they found that in many instances that they are in need of this particular system. So the board did approve moving that also to council as well, recommending 4 cameras at the cost of $29,000 to be paid out of the remaining ARPA funds to be considered by the council as well. So that was the health and safety meeting.
Okay, thank you. And the next Health and Safety Committee meeting will be Monday, July 8th at 5 o'clock. Okay, let's jump back to Parks and Public Works. John, you have committee report?
Sure. Still just getting it pulled up here, but we discussed on, let's see, it was on May 20th. We discussed some items regarding the Public Square Park court reconstruction, the tennis courts and the pickleball courts, and discussed some options to move forward. I think we're going to have those on the agenda tonight. Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit more of those tonight, as well as some things around reservations of those courts. Then we discussed the Kinnickinnick and Cherry Street curb and gutter, Canton Street, off-street parking. Discussed downtown lights, new street lights for downtown, and then got an update on the Freedom Park Foundation on the structural issue at Freedom Park. Did I miss anything, Matt?
Nope, got it all.
Okay.
So aren't the street lights governed by XL Energy?
So we have full control over them, and we have the one who maintains them. We pay them though to provide the electricity to the lights, but they don't have
that's
any.
not their lights like the rest of in the city?
Well, even those lights, we order them through Excel. Like, they only have 2 options though for ordering lights. The ones that you see in like the newer developments they're more stylistic ones, and then they have a more just overhead basic light. But for the ones downtown specifically, since we're looking for more of a decorative, and we're just looking right now to get a cost estimate for what it would even cost, because we have a number of them that have electrical issues. So when we're hanging Christmas decorations and other items, we have problems with the wiring. So just looking to see what the cost would be to replace them, since our tin number 4 will be closing the expenditure period in March 3rd of 2025. So.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so the Parks and Public Works next meeting is Monday, June, that's 17th. Is that a good day for June 17th? Okay, at 5 o'clock. Personnel next meeting, Wednesday, August 7th at 5 o'clock. Next item is communication and new business. The City Council received public comments on any issue not related to agenda items. Limited discussion by the council may take place, however, no action will be taken on any item. It includes receiving written requests or documentation and possible action at a future meeting. Okay, hearing none. Next item on the agenda is approval of a concept plan for public square park tennis / pickleball courts and use of courts by the Prescott Pickleball Group. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So yes, as John already mentioned, this was discussed at the Parks and Public Works Committee on May 20th. The memo within your packet kind of gives a more in-depth overview of what was all discussed and what issues we've been having there. But basically, there were 3 options that we've been looking at for the future of the 2 tennis courts. And after discussion, the committee is recommending that we take one of the tennis courts and we convert it into 4 pickleball courts. This would still leave the 1 dedicated tennis court, but would add the 4 additional pickleball courts. In total, the estimated work is expected to cost between $90,000 to $120,000. This would be something that we're looking for the council to approve tonight as part of that concept plan. The concept plan is in your packet that was put together by staff. Basically, this would just approve the concept plan. Financing would still have to happen as part of our capital improvement plan and also our budget for 2025. So that would still be forthcoming at a later time. In terms of other items then, the Parks and Public Works Committee also made the recommendation that the Prescott Pickleball Group that helped raise the money for the first two courts, we have signage that basically says that those courts will be reserved Wednesdays 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturdays 8 p.m. to 10 a.m. We also include as part of that sign that Mondays will be open community session for pickleball. And then finally, that sign will also have, make it clear that there are no reservations of courts beyond those times that are listed, or what I just mentioned. So with that, I'll turn it over to the council for comments and questions.
Who's taking care of reservations, for one?
So there won't be any reservations. That's, the signage will say there's no reservations outside of the
Yeah, it's
Wednesday.
6 to 10. So, I mean, are we up here in the city taking care of that, or are they doing it through their club, so the club can be in it only, or what?
So the club would be taking care of the reservations from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Wednesdays, and then Saturdays 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Would there be a sign indicating
Yeah.
that those are reserved times?
Yes.
How many other days in addition to Monday? Why is it only Monday that it's open for the public?
Because what we've heard back is basically previously Mondays was the beginner session for pickleball players. So rather than have it reserved for a specific group, it would just, the idea is to have it open for a community session for people to come and play together at that time.
But other than the reserved times, isn't it open all the time?
It is, I think.
Oh,
It's
okay.
open to the public all the time.
Okay.
The Monday open play is just an indicator to people, other players will be here at that time, so come at that time to play with others, it's a social thing.
Oh, I see. Okay. I also had a question about when you asked the community ed and the tennis clinics that run in, I think the tennis clinics run in the summer. And when you asked them, they said that they needed both tennis courts for their operations. So, but in choosing option B, the one you've recommended to us, it says that only one tennis court will be available in the future.
Well, and I was under the impression after having conversations at our meeting that the tennis lessons that are given are primarily for children, and they're basically only using the one court.
Even though community ed said that they had to have both courts.
Correct.
Did you go back to Penny and ask her?
No.
That concerns me because I would like to see that we won't have the same competition for the tennis courts that we have for the pickleball courts. So I just wondered if option A wouldn't be the better choice, but is that because it's so much more expensive that we didn't choose that one?
I feel like we just chose option B because really the need for pickleball courts are so much greater than the tennis courts.
Well, I know that.
And that, the trend, it's not going away. So that was the reason really why we wanted to leave at least one tennis court.
Yeah. I just hate to think that once we get this project done, then we'll be, why don't we have enough, why don't we still have two tennis courts in town?
I would be happy to contact Penny.
That would make me feel more comfortable.
Certainly.
So are we, do you want to vote on this now and with the condition that we contact Penny, or do you want to consider option A. What do you think?
I'd be willing to hold off and contact Penny. I mean, if that, I'd have no problem doing that.
Was this work slated to be done this year? No? Okay.
Not until 2025 would the reconstruction of the courts occur.
Any thoughts, John?
I guess there's no rush to vote on this tonight. I'd welcome any more input from those in the audience who,
We do have the numbers from the tennis camp that we presented at the last meeting. I think that's why we made that decision.
I think it'd be great to hear, for the whole council to hear that. Do you
Well,
want to
come up here to the podium, please.
Sorry.
Tell us who you are, where you live,
That way you can be on
so
TV.
everybody at home knows.
Great, thank you. That's what I wanted. I'm Kathy Oval. I live in Prescott. These are from Penny. I got the information. Lindsay holds 4 tennis camps, starting at age 3 and 4 and up to middle school. The 3 and 4-year-olds use a half a tennis court because they're so little. They don't use they don't even use a full one. Right now she has 9 kids. Wait, hang on. In the older one, she has 7 kids. So in her total tennis camp, she has 25 kids
Okay.
for the whole summer. And that's why we're saying, does she really need 2 tennis courts for 25 kids? And tennis doesn't go anywhere for the kids. It's not like we have a high school team. It's not like we have, so they can do tennis court, but are they doing it for just recreation? Are they doing it for something for parents to put their kids into? Or are they really doing it to play tennis? I mean, most of the time when you have little kids, you play soccer, you play baseball, you play, because it's something to do. So that's what, I mean, we're just saying, and her tennis camp is about 10 hours a year. So you're looking at 10 hours for the whole summer.
Sorry, how many of the 3 to 4-year-olds does she have?
She had 5 3 and 4-year-olds.
So 20 of them are in the older bracket?
No, well, I can do it. She had 5 3 and 4-year-olds. She had grades 4 through 8. She had 2 children. Grades 3 through 5. She had 7, and grades K through 2. She had 9. So as you see, as they get older, it fades out.
This is for 2024.
This is for this year.
Yeah,
I would think the little kids could use the pickleball courts anyway, because she says they only use a half a
it
court.
seems to me that 2 is maybe for the older kids, maybe preferred, but whether it's absolutely needed. These tennis courts are not getting used nearly as much as the pickleball courts. I mean, sure, it would be great to have 2 brand new tennis courts and 4 more pickleball, or 2 more, 4 more pickleball courts, but I think it's money's
Yeah.
better spent converting one, in my opinion.
That, I agree with you, John. I think the numbers show that. I don't think you have to contact Penny.
The nice thing is, our one tennis court that we'll have will be now regulation size, correct?
Correct.
So,
And she's welcome to use the pickleball courts for the smaller kids. I
Right.
mean, you know, they're probably going to be easier to hit that tennis ball over a shorter court than, so if she does use it, she's welcome to use the pickleball courts as like smaller kids' tennis courts.
I don't think they hit over any net.
Occasionally.
I would be able to hit over the net.
Yeah. When I played, it was
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. Okay,
Thank you.
so I'll
So then,
entertain a motion.
yeah, I move that we approve Plan B, Option B for the tennis court, pickleball renovation in 2025, for 2025.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the concept plan for Public Square Park for the tennis/pickleball courts. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Just one item, we were looking also for the approval of the specific use of the courts by the Prescott Pickleball Group for the Wednesday and Saturday.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
We're also looking for approval of the pickleball courts by the Prescott Pickleball Group on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
The 2
They
reserved times.
reserved it for Was it 6 to
Want to add
8?
that to your motion?
Sure.
Can we make that a temporary arrangement for 2024 and then reevaluate, see how it goes this summer and reevaluate that next year?
Okay, let's do it as a separate motion. Motion to approve the use of the reserve times for the
We
pickleball.
haven't closed the original motion.
Oh, you have?
Oh,
okay.
Okay, so is there any discussion on the motion to approve the concept plan for the pickleball tennis court? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, Maureen, go ahead.
Okay, motion to approve the use of reserve times for the pickleball group through the 2024 season.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the reserve time for the pickleball group for the 2024 season. Is there any discussion on the motion?
There will be signage, right, for that?
Yes.
Okay.
If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 27-24, approval of agreement with Harmon Concrete and Construction Incorporated for the replacement of curb and gutter on Cherry and Kinnickinnick Street for $16,176.
Thank you, Mayor. So at the March 11th, 2024 meeting, council approved the mill and overlay of both Cherry and Kinnickinnick Street. As part of that work, they started doing spot curb and gutter replacement, sidewalk widening and replacement, and storm sewer repairs. As part of doing that, there was a number of areas that are basically structural deficient and that they're looking to repair. Although our Public Works Department can do spot repair, there's some pretty lengthy sections, 672 feet to be exact, that really needs to be ripped out in order to protect the new asphalt integrity. Because when you start to get some of those V's, like you can see in the pictures in your packet, your asphalt layer or asphalt machine isn't able to fill those as it's going. So those would be areas that the concrete would continuously start to break and then erode away. So as part of that, basically that work, we're looking to get approval to do that. We reached out to Harmon Concrete and Construction to get a bid, and they came in at $16,176. This is the company that's going to be doing the work on Elm and Washington as well, a number of items there. So financing for these repairs would come out of TID number 4. Currently, there is $165,800 budgeted for the Cherry Street project. The funds for the curb and gutter replacement would come out of these set-aside revenues, including the bid for the mill and overlay from Monarch Paving. So far, we've spent $90,593 out of those funds. So with that, I'll turn it over to council
So
for
we
comments and
90
questions.
plus to 16,000 is what we're talking.
Good.
Motion to approve the agreement with Harmon Concrete and Construction for the replacement of curb and gutter in the amount of $16,176 to be dispersed out of the tax increment district number 4.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion, a second to approve Resolution 27-24, the agreement with Harmon Concrete Construction for replacement of the curb and gutter on Cherry and Kinnickinnick Street for $16,176. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I was looking at the sidewalk down Kinnickinnick this morning. It looks terrific. It's wider and it's smooth.
Oh, that one's done already. Okay. That one's done. I haven't been up Kinnickinnick for a couple days.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be nice over in the Cherry side too. Mm-hmm. It'll be wide, except for the pole in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Oh, I'm sorry, I gotta do a roll call.
Oh, okay.
Lindsay?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Gar?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of wastewater plant operator certification incentive program. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So currently, we have one certified operator in charge for our wastewater treatment plant. Although we can operate on only one, basically the thought was, as we're moving forward, we'd like to try to continue our training and have more individuals that could potentially step in based on if we would get a resignation or retirement or life-altering event. With that, many communities have offered incentives to pay for individuals to test, receive, and maintain their subclass certifications. Currently, right now, in order to get your wastewater treatment plant operator certification with Wisconsin DNR, there are 6 subclass examinations that you have to pass and then maintain. So those are listed in your packet. I won't go through, or in the memo, I won't go through every one, but basically what was discussed at our last personnel committee was offering an incentive that would, for each certification that you pass, you'd get a 25% hour wage increase. And then once you've completed all 6 subclass certifications, you would get an additional $1 hour wage increase. So with all 6, you would get a bonus of to your wage of $2.50 per hour to maintain that certification. It does require 18 hours of continuing education over a 3-year period from your initial certification to keep renewing and maintain that as well. In discussing this with Public Works leadership, right now, there is not an overwhelming concern that we'd have a lot of people going for this, so they don't see a concern, but we are reserving the right that we would cap that at any given time, obviously. We don't foresee it being coming so that everybody wants to get it, because it is a lot of work to take these exams and study for them and then get them, so. But we are reserving that right to cap it if it so does become popular. So, Personnel Committee reviewed this at their May 1st meeting and approved it to going to council for review. So I'll turn it over to council for comments or questions.
From the Elzer Creamery has these people, and it takes about 1.5 years for them to get through. And that's if the guy is bright, real bright. Otherwise, it's a lot longer than that. So I kind of think it'd be good to at least get somebody that's interested, because it's going to take time to do it.
Yep.
Would we pay for I forgot to ask this at the personnel meeting, would we pay for their training classes as well? Do they have a cost associated with them?
There's study guides for each exam. There's no specific classes that go along with them. So you take the guide and you study. We have allowed individuals to take, a couple hours a day to study and use their study guides and prepare for the exam, but there's no specific
What
classes.
about this 18 hours of continuing ed, is that the city paying for that?
Oh, yes, so there's generally different conferences that you go to, and yes, we pay for individuals to attend those.
And that's each 3 years, they need to do 18 hours?
Correct.
But the initial certification doesn't include any, like, classroom or?
No, from what I understand, there's no classes that you can take or.
Okay, and then the continuing ed is all online?
It is for the guys at the creamery.
Individually.
That was all online
Okay.
for them.
I'll make a motion to approve the wastewater plant operator certification incentive program.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the wastewater plant operator certification incentive program. Is there any discussion on the motion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 28-24, informing the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources on the Prescott wastewater treatment plant. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So every year, the Wisconsin DNR does require us to submit a resolution for the CMAR, or the Compliance Maintenance Annual Report. This is basically our way of saying that we've put together an overall review of our wastewater treatment plant, and that you've had a chance to review it, and that you're certifying that you have reviewed it, and we submit it then to the Wisconsin DNR once it is approved. So with that, I'll turn it over to council for comments and questions.
Motion to approve Resolution 28-24, informing the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources on the Prescott wastewater treatment plant operations for 2020. Is it 2023 or 20?
It'd be 23.
Should be for 2023.
2023.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 28-24, resolution informing the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources on the Prescott wastewater treatment plant. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Only thing I'd like to bring up is we are currently graded out as an A, so just wanted to give a big thank you and support for our current wastewater treatment plant operator, Matt Ullman, who does a good job of keeping things up and running and maintained down there.
Yeah, and the one place where we got a lower mark, he explained it in the notes, so I thought that
Good
was,
job.
he does such an excellent job.
And also to be fair, he does get a number of, or does get help also from other public works employees, so also just overall good job by our public works department.
Good job.
And what they do.
Okay, if there's no other further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 29-24, authorizing the City of Prescott to enter an agreement with Cedar Corporation to update and complete a wastewater treatment plant facility plan for $40,000. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll turn it over to Greg Adams with Cedar Corporation to give a breakdown. We did go over this at our last week's council workshop, but Greg wanted to give at least an overview.
Sure.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And as Matt had said, he did a pretty nice summary of what the city is seeing, with potential growth, some of the limitations of how far can the city grow with the current capacity of the treatment plant and its age. And some of this also is predicated by the DNR with new permit limits that will be coming out and things like that. So it's kind of a timely milestone here to kind of reevaluate this. So what the proposal before you is a pretty in-depth look at going through the entire process of what it would take to do both a facility plan amendment and then apply for funding and through the DNR, but then also to go into the full preliminary design, final design, construction, implementation. So when you look at section 1, what the $40,000 in the scope of work is really section 1.1. It would be this facility plan. So I wanted to kind of hit on these things and the timeline of that, but then I can then look at that entire timeline, and Matt had summarized some of that in his lead up into this. But with the facility plan, the current facility plan the city has is from 2010, so 15 years is quite an age for a treatment plant. Kind of reevaluating new growth projections, what will the expansion of this city be, and a lot has changed probably in 15 years, as the group will find. So the bullet points here, of the plan, this facility plan amendment is probably a good description of it. Summarize the existing conditions, equipment, and processes of the current plant. Review historical wastewater treatment plant flow and loading data. Review existing population, sewer service area conditions. Provide a description of the collection system, that would be your sewer systems throughout the city. Looking at existing trunk sewers, interceptor sewers. Prepare a general I&I analysis of the sewer system. So the I&I is infiltration and inflow. So where are there some areas where water gets in, you get heavy rain events and you get an extra 50,000 gallons of water, that elimination of that is really key for good treatment plant design. Just plants operate more effectively that way. Determining the 20-year service area. So the service area of a wastewater treatment plant is the physical boundary of your, typically it would be beyond your current city limits. You know, how far is the city going to grow? What's developable within the zoning annexation areas of the city? And what would that 20-year area be? Any developed area translates usually into wastewater production, whether that's industrial companies or houses or things of that nature. And look at those projections of those flow values. Analyze the capacity of existing equipment and processes in relation to a 20-year projection of the treatment plant design and modifications to sustain wastewater treatment capacity and function. Identify future and expected effluent discharge limitations. So that what that means is, what will the DNR's requirement be for this next treatment plant upgrade or complete reconstruction? With the city of Prescott along the river, there's a lot of the TMDL modeling of the Mississippi River is what will kind of drive that. The DNR's been in that process, it seems like, probably for 8 years, or when this great number will finally be determined. But that's going to really predicate what the treatment plant's design capabilities has to be for its discharge. Develop and evaluate alternatives for modifying wastewater treatment plant equipment and processes to provide at least 20 years of continued wastewater treatment service and comply with future effluent discharge limitations, and to meet the city's desired plant capacity, along with just simply what the DNR and other updates will require. It's also what is the city's view of growth and desire for maybe how potentially large this plant could be. Evaluate alternatives to determine the largest amount of the capacity available. I think I just mentioned that. I'm a little bit ahead of myself. I'm sorry about that. Develop a cost-effective analysis for alternatives, including estimated impacts to the city sewer users. Review available funding sources for the recommended alternative and provide recommended funding to be implemented. Develop a proposed implementation schedule for the recommended alternate, the alternate being the plant's design strategy, including phasing of upgrades if needed. Conduct a public hearing to present the purpose of the project and expected financial impacts to the city residents. Attend 2 meetings with the owner to develop and review the facility plan, and then submit an intent to apply, or an ITA, for the Clean Water Fund program on behalf of the city in October of 2024. And then ultimately we'll be submitting this facility plan to the DNR for approval at the end of the year, roughly. One thing about funding, this is kind of getting near the end of the bipartisan infrastructure funding. So there's, in the Clean Water Fund loan program, that's where these wastewater treatment plant projects are potentially grant eligible, and there's about twice the funding that it has had in the past because of the influx of some of that infrastructure money. So that's why we feel like this is a good time to really start this process. I know the city's been wondering, like, when do we get this thing kind of into motion? So the other items, I might just skip these for a second. Items 1.2 on down will be future steps taken, because we feel like we want to get the facility plan amendment done, evaluate the things I just talked about, looking at what should be done, what are cost estimates, what's the impact, all those types of things. Then apply in the fall for the DNR funding, and then submit the facility plan at the end of the year. If you skip to page 7, under section 2, really what we're highlighting here is item 1.1, the facility plan services for $40,000. These other items would be farther down the path, the preliminary, then final design, and then construction documents and things like that. Those would be determined. We don't know that at this point. We don't know what the scope of this construction and whatnot would be. And then if you turn quickly to page 8, the timeline, and Matt had hit on this in that lead-in, so the timeline we're really looking at, I kind of hit on it in some of my discussion, would be to complete the facilities plan and submit to the DNR. Actually, the submittal would be earlier, October, roughly, of '24. Submit an intent to apply to the Clean Water Fund program in October of '24, and then I guess it was to get potentially then the DNR's facility plan approval by December. That was it. So it's a little bit even faster than I was thinking. So that portion of the timeline would be the services I was describing. So I've kind of rattled on a lot. I apologize. I just want it to be pretty clear. There's a lot of information on here, but it really is section 1.1 in that timeline I was talking about. I don't know if you want me to hit on the preliminary design, final design, construction things, but I think it's a little bit further down the road at this point. So, but if you have any questions.
So, I'm sorry, Greg.
Yeah.
Then, on your estimated project schedule, the facilities plan and submit to the Wisconsin DNR, and then submit the intent to apply and getting back the Wisconsin DNR facility approval plan is all within your $40,000 scope.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's why I was trying to define this so it doesn't seem like it's a lot more than that. But ultimately, like I said, as this would go down the path, these would be the next steps. So.
So do you think most likely the addition to the existing facility would be the most likely what we're looking at?
The wastewater design team is going to be the people doing this. I am a municipal engineer, but I've been working with the city for 9 years or more now, and so I've talked with them. We did an on-site visit. We evaluated. The city had the old plans. We had the old report. It was very, very valuable to have that. We had a group of 3 engineers there on that preliminary team. And they'd be the people working on this, and that is the big. That is a site that's a bit restricted. You've got not a lot of developable remaining area, and the type of plant that is there, it's kind of a concentric package unit, so you can't really expand within, because there's inner processes within outer processes, kind of like these radiuses of circles, so it will have to be some type of a complete expand or redo of some of those process systems. But that's largely going to be kind of predicated on the hydraulic rate, how much of a design capacity. And I've talked with the group. I'm big picture. I'm not the nuts and bolts guys, but from a big picture, it's really like hydraulically what could be built on that footprint. If it were to expand beyond where it couldn't, then a potential different site would be needed, and that has been evaluated in the 2010, the old facility plan. And that might just be a financial decision too at that point. But there could be some minimum at a 20-year design life though. This plant has to at least have the capacity to treat what the city's growth will be for 20 years. And the DNR will be evaluating that too. We wouldn't want to cut that short, but I'm sure then I know the city wouldn't want that.
Would they ever
either.
consider, like, for lack of a better term, a second facility? And then
It gets a little bit tricky because you'd have 2 discharge locations, and I don't know if I've ever really seen that ever done. Typically what would probably happen is you'd have your primary pumping station that's currently there would be modified to pump. It'd be a large lift station that would just everything drains to that location that would still
Right.
do that, and it would be pumped to a new facility.
Because we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here because we
Yep.
don't own any other land
Sure,
along the river.
right,
How do we do, a whole bunch of it out here?
yeah,
I know it's not an ideal thing because it's probably the highest point
Correct.
in the city.
Yeah.
Everything would have to be pumped.
it would, yeah. The city of St. Croix Falls is a little similar, but yet on a even more higher water quality river, the upper part of the St. Croix River, is similar to this. It's a river town, very small area for treatment, and they pumped to a treatment plant at or they had looked at that scenario. You pump to a treatment plant it was at a higher location, and you had to have a dedicated effluent line leading to the river. So there's a lot of costs with that, but so that is all part of this facility planning step.
Okay.
Though. Yeah. But to answer your question, yeah, that will get developed out of this evaluation. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
But the old plan recommended an aerobic digester and the expansion of the aeration basin, but all of that would be thrown out and new recommendations would be made.
Well, I don't know if we deliberately throw things out, because the topography, kind of your land features, the rivers, its proximity to the river, all those things are kind of hard targets you were working within. So a lot of those scenarios would still be looked at, but looked at with new data. And even in 15 years, a lot of
New technology.
mechanical processes have gotten more efficient, they've got more compact. So there's been 15 years in the lifespan of wastewater design is a bit of history. So it would be a pretty much a fresh look at this.
Okay.
Quite a bit, so.
What I like about this plan is that you actually have gone further than the old plan did, which just said we had an intention to do something.
Oh.
And this has, like, the next step would be that project design, facility redesign, and those kinds of
Yeah.
steps, yeah.
We felt it was useful to kind of show this whole roadmap.
Yeah.
Instead of, well, we did a study, but is that, that by itself isn't going to really do you anything. We know that from looking at the treatment plant's current wastewater loadings to the plant, you're getting at that point where if a large industry comes in and wants or has a need for a lot of wastewater, it might be occupying another 10% of the plant's remaining capacity. So you're really making a decision a lot on that, then is that going to sacrifice residential growth? So with this plan, yeah, it looks at the goals of the community in terms of what its growth will be, and then the plant that would work with that.
So this will just give us a good starting point and an idea of generally what we need to do with everything.
Right.
Based on last plan, what growth needs to be, what the requirements for that will be.
Right.
And aging and everything, so.
Correct, yep.
Any other questions? Yeah, thanks, Craig.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve resolution 2924, authorizing the city of Prescott to enter into an agreement with Cedar Corporation to update and complete a wastewater treatment plant facility plan for $40,000.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2924, authorizing the city of Prescott to enter agreement with Cedar Corp. to update and complete a wastewater treatment plant facility for $40,000. Is there any discussion on the motion?
And this $40,000 will come out of the sewer utility fund, correct?
Correct.
There's no other discussion. Mike?
Yes.
Maureen?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Gar?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 30-24, authorizing the city of Prescott to enter an agreement with CBS Squared to complete a water engineering study for $18,638. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So the EPA has released, or on April 10th, 2024, released new standards for PFAS within drinking water. The DNR has indicated that it will take up to 3 years to implement the new standards, and then the city will have a certain amount of time to come into compliance, which is estimated to be about by 2029. So currently, the 70 parts per trillion regulations that are in place for PFAS, for PFOA and PFOS will remain in effect. However, the testing that we have done on our wells is within your packet and shows the current test that we would not be meeting in both of these wells. Well 3 is not included in these tests as it is offline for remediation of both nitrates and PFAS, which we're expecting to be completed by July 1st of 2025. So as a result of these new regulations and the testing we've done to date, the first steps will be to address PFAS in well 2 and 4 will be an engineering study similar to what we did with well 3 when we had the the nitrate issue that started that. Looking at our options, we reached out to CBS Squared, who did the well 3 remediation project and the engineering report, and they put together an engineering study, which is before you. Will look at 3 different options. The map was within your packet for review. So overall, the cost that they're estimating, or not estimating, but putting forth for this work for the report is $18,638. If approved, these funds would come out of the water utility fund. So with that, I'll turn it over to council for comments or questions.
So we're not choosing one of the 3 options. They're exploring them within their study.
Correct. The study will look at all 3 options, give a breakdown of cost, logistics, and things like that.
Thank you.
How long are they expecting before this study's done?
About 90 days.
90 days? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 30-24, authorizing the City of Prescott to enter an agreement with CBS Squared to complete a water engineering study not to exceed $18,638, and this will come out of the Water Utility Fund.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 30-24. Resolution authorizing the city to enter into an agreement with CBS Squared for the water engineering study for $18,638. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Do you think that the Clean Water Act money will still be around when we get around to choosing one of the options?
So the 2 funds are, the Clean Water Fund is for specifically sewer treatment, and then the Safe Drinking Water Loan Funds should still be allowed. In fact, when they released the new regulations, they released additional announcement that I believe it was $1 billion in additional funding for states across the country to utilize.
Great.
For helping remediate.
Really good.
Okay, so we're going to be on top of it then, and in a place where we might be able to apply for the funding that's coming through.
That is what we're hoping for, yes.
Yeah, great.
Is there any other discussion? If not, do a roll call. Lindsay?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Dar?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Is there any other business?
Just one announcement we received last Friday afternoon from the Department of Transportation that the planning grant that we applied for through the Department of the Transportation Alternatives Program as TAP was approved for up to $194,000. This is a planning study that we are looking at to try to figure out a safe pedestrian crossing over Highway 10 that would connect the St.
that's
Croix
great.
Bluffs.
Wow, great.
So big shout out to Cedar Corporation and Greg and
Yeah.
his team that applied
Thank
for
you
that.
so
Wow,
much.
thank you.
No, that's just,
You all-
that's just the planning part of
Yes.
That's
it.
something I've been working on, actually.
Yes. That,
So who conducts that study?
So Cedar Corporation will.
Will do the
I
study.
did.
Yeah, it would look at all potential options with public input to, so following a DNR, or DOT. Right?
Yeah, I've actually heard, well, not just myself and my family, but a lot of folks in my neighborhood over there that have concerns with crossing. And, you know, we feel kind of secluded from the rest of the city unless you have a golf cart or a car, you know, especially now with all that extra traffic from the construction, so.
Well,
yeah.
Isn't that, that overpass gonna be just at on Highway 10, not, you know, really helping you, because you gotta go across 29 then, otherwise, didn't it?
It's
Or
still
is it two
safer
spots?
accessibility, I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought they said an overpass we couldn't do
No
because it would
overpass.
be too high.
Oh, no overpass.
It goes under.
Under.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They won't approve any overpass on Highway 10.
Oh, okay. Well, that's news to me.
Three scenarios, we'd still probably would have to acknowledge that as an option, but explain the restrictions, and then underpass, and then a signalized at-grade crossing at a completely compliant location. So, but yeah, an at-grade crossing, or any of those crossings, depending on where they are, the desire would be to also then incorporate some other crossing of 29 if it was an at-grade that also has some signalization of that
Eagle Ridge.
Drive. But that's all part of the study.
Mhm.
Instead of just going down a path, you know, it's really to look at costs and the public participation is a big thing, you know, because you want to utilize something that the general public hears about and says, yeah, I agree with that or not, you know, they don't want to spend all that money and have it not be something they're adhering to.
Well, especially with the stuff, the plans we have for the park over there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, then,
Right.
yeah, it'll be greater accessible for the rest of the city to come over and enjoy, so, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's great.
And so paid parking is not part of the study?
I'm working on that.
Any other business?
In fact, you even said that, John.
It hasn't been brought up in a while.
yeah.
Annual weekend.
The only other thing, the compost site, the upgrades that we're making, we've had electricity put in and the gates were put in. We're almost done. Unfortunately, we've had some hang-ups with internet access that we need to get out there. So next meeting, you will probably see some agreements brought forth for upgrading our internet. We also have some issues here with uploads and download speeds. So I'm looking back at Larry to basically just.
Can't we get Pierce Pepin to do that extension out there?
That's exactly what we're hoping to bring to you next meeting.
There you go.
Some fiber all over.
Fiber optics, yes,
Yeah.
can't wait.
Yeah, they just put it in over in our place. It's great.
Yeah.
So nothing else other than that.
Well, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
No motion, second for adjourn.
Excuse me, don't want to be all line right, did we have a public comment section?
Well, a lot come and went,
Well, it was before you got there, Mr.
What
Peters.
time do we start?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, it used to be 6:30.
Been 6 o'clock for almost 10 years now.
I'm sure it used to be 6:30, but okay.
All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
You're adjourned.